Hey, Tom here from the Run Testers with another race test. I'm down at the Heckington 10-mile race today, where I'll be testing the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3s and the Melin Hydro Pace Cap. So let's jump in and hit this race up. Okay, so I'm back from the Heckington Show 10-mile race, and it was a good one. It's a race that I do every year. It's where my parents live. It's sort of like an old village show. It's a massive village show. There's loads of stuff there. There's cows and sheep and big horses and all the stuff like that. But there's also loads of other cool stuff as well. Like they sometimes have parachutists coming in. They have monster trucks and all sorts of stuff, so it's a bit of a big deal over in Lincolnshire. But the show's like a really big part of it because it is part of the show that's been going on for I think something like 150 years now, and it happens right at the start of the show. So on the Saturday morning they do the race, and it's got about 300 to 400 people that normally do it, and it's a really big village local event, and a lot of people enjoy watching it. It's 2 laps around the village of Heckington, so it's around the fields, the fens. It's not the most exciting route, I'll be honest, but that's what you're going to get when you run 10 miles in a village, because villages aren't very big. But what I found with this race is really enjoyed it. I got a PB in it, so I got 1:04 for my 10-mile time, which I think was previously 1:06, which I'm quite surprised about. Because I haven't really been training for that distance at speed I've been working on marathon training for a while, so I was really pleased to get that time. Still came about 25th with that time, which I was surprised about, because that was pretty quick for me. But I think the race is getting a lot more popular, and it certainly seems to be getting a lot of more high-level runners taking part in it. So there were some really fast guys running in that race, miles away from me. But it was a pretty varied field as well, so there were a lot of people running at a slower pace and just enjoying it. The crowds are great because it's right at the start of the show, so people are excited about going to the show, and they get there and they watch the race. They're always cheering. It starts off, and this is the best bit of the race, in this big grandstand. So they have a grandstand at the race, at the show, where they show all of the things going on, like the shy horses and the trucks or whatever they've got going on that day. And you do 2 laps a bit at the start, so there's a massive crowd, and you sort of run in a circle for 2 laps before you head out into the countryside. So it was a great race, really enjoyed it, and very pleased to get a 10-mile PB in that race, which means that I'm progressively getting faster at it every single year. And for anyone who's watching this thinking, oh, I wouldn't mind doing that next year, it's quite cheap. I think it normally works out about £15 to do the race, and you get free entry to the show, which is normally £12 anyway. So if you're going to go to the show and you're a runner, you might as well do it just to get in there. But you also get, I think this year you got just a t-shirt, but some years they change it, so you get a medal some years, and sometimes they have a hoodie, and sometimes they have other stuff as well. It's a very flat course. Lincolnshire is extremely flat. There's probably one hill on it that you go over twice, which is quite a tricky hill, but it's short. But it is a great race for speed if the wind isn't picking up. And today the wind was not picking up at all. It was perfect conditions. Maybe a little bit warm, but it was a lot better than it could have been based on the temperature that we've been having recently. So yeah, great race. Really enjoyed it. Okay, so a little bit about the kit I wore. So the 2 things that I was testing today were the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3s and this Melin Hydro Pace Cap. Now the Saucony Endorphin 3s is a shoe that I've worn for a 5k now and got a PB in it in the 5k, and I've also used it for a lot of training runs, but I haven't used it for any longer distance things. So I was quite looking forward to trying this shoe out today, because it's a fantastic shoe. If you can check our full review out over on the channel as well, where we've got loads of run testers talking about, or waxing lyrical about, the Endorphin Pro 3. So well worth a look at that if you're thinking about getting the Pro 3. But it did not disappoint on that run. It's an absolutely fantastic shoe for distance. I think when I first started wearing it, I presumed it would be a distance shoe and maybe not so great for the short distances. Got a 5k PB in it, absolutely loved that shoe. At 10-mile distance, equally as good. Slightly different feel though on a 10-mile distance. I think what I got from that shoe is that in comparison with something like the Nike Vaporfly 2, shorter distances, I think it feels as bouncy and as propulsive. At longer distances, I don't think it feels as energy full as something like the Vaporfly 2, but that's not a problem. I think it's there. I think it's just a more subtle bounce that you get from that foam, but it is absolutely fantastic. I managed to maintain a really good pace the whole way, and it just felt fluid, comfortable, light, but really soft and cushioned as well. It's a very enjoyable shoe to race in, and I'm definitely thinking about using it for the Chicago Marathon coming up in October. Be a toss-up between that and maybe the Alphafly. But over that 10-mile race, all on roads, it was just fantastic, really comfortable, really enjoyed it, and probably had a pretty big part to play in me getting a PB on that race. So twice now I've raced in the Pro 3 and got a PB both times. So yeah, the shoe's just fantastic, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, I think this is Saucony's year. I think the Pro 3 has really pulled it out of the bag, and they've got other great shoes like the Speed 3, which makes for a brilliant training partnership, with the Speed 3 being a training shoe and the Pro 3 being a race shoe. Although the Pro 3 is so good that you could probably use it as a training shoe as well. It's just so versatile and comfortable, and even sort of works out as a great cushioned option as well. So a really successful test for the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, and looking forward to trying it at a half marathon distance soon, and then possibly Chicago as well. The other thing I was testing was this Melin Hydro Pace Cap. Now this is an expensive one. I've been running in it over the past 2 weeks. It's £50, which is a lot of money for a running cap, but I'm really enjoying running in it. It's quite lightweight. It's not one of the most lightweight ones out there, but it does have a lot of structure to it. So the thing I like about this cap is that it looks like a more traditional style cap, so I can wear this all the time, and that's what I kind of look for in most of my favorite running kit. I like to be able to wear it as well as when I'm running, so this is a great cap for that. I just think it looks really good. I like blues, navy blues, blacks, hats, so I'm quite pleased with that. But also it does have some features in it that seem to be working very well for me. It has a sort of hydrophobic design to the fabric, which is presumably to stop the water from seeping in, or sweat from seeping in. Obviously when you're in a really long race it's going to get wet still, but I do find that it dries ridiculously quick. I've just ran it under the tap about half an hour ago and let it dry, and it's pretty much spot on now. So I think it's a really good cap for runners that are running a lot and they don't want to be constantly washing their hats or waiting for them to dry. The other thing it's got as well, it has this sort of rubber seal around the front of the rim. The idea behind that is that when you're sweating a lot, that instead of the water dripping down your face, it sort of funnels out like a guttering around the sides of the head. And I have found that when I've been wearing it, I haven't been getting any sweat in my eyes as I've been running. It does get quite water clogged and it does start dripping a bit, but not as much as some of my other ones. Well, what I find with some of my other caps is that I start to have beads of water just dripping off the front, which can look a bit disgusting when you're going into Superdrug or something like afterwards, or Tesco's, and you're trying to stop the water dripping out. I don't get that with this, so I don't think it absorbs as much of the water as other running hats. Definitely gets waterlogged, but it doesn't seem to sort of drip off like it does on my other caps. So I'm really impressed with this cap. I think it's really good. It's obviously a big investment, £50. It's probably one of the most expensive running caps you're ever going to find, but I've had a very good experience with it so far, and I will be using it for many more of my runs and races because of that. It's also very comfortable as well. I've really enjoyed wearing this, and it's got an adjustable bit at the back, and I've got it to a point where, yeah, barely notice it on my head when I'm running. So yeah, they're the two things I tested out today. So a very successful race, really enjoyed it. Well done to Bill and the guys over at the Heckington Show 10 mile race for organising it. Another great year and lots of happy people that finished doing the race. And thanks for all the crowds cheering around the village of Heckington. The entries for the race start, I think they come around April each year. So if you're interested in trying out a really, really big, I think it's the biggest village festival in the country, I'm told. If you're interested in taking part, well worth following them on Facebook so you can find out when those entries go online. So other than that, thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click that little bell icon. It really does make a difference. And check the channel out for all the other videos we've got from the latest road and trail shoes, as well as running headphones and watches out at the moment. And just before I go, remember we also have the Run Testers podcast that comes out every month, or the end of every month. We've just had the most recent one come out last week. So if you go into the captions below, you can find a link where you can listen to that podcast where we talk about everything to do with shoes and the news around running and a few things coming up as well. So thanks a lot for watching. See you soon.